Well, we know these days parents are hearing a lot about how to keep kids safe from COVID in and out of school, but there's some other things parents need to keep in mind to make sure kids are staying safe during the school year. Alison Bogle with Austin Family joins us this morning to talk a little bit more about that. Things we should be remembering any given year, not just a pandemic year. Morning, Alison.
Exactly. Always good to talk about, though.
Yeah. So let's talk about school safety. And again, some pretty simple things that don't seem too scary on the surface. But for one thing, it's important to keep an eye on the kids' backpacks.
Yeah, so I vividly remember as a kid those heavy backpacks, right? So now we're getting some guidance that backpacks should weigh no more than 10 to 15% of a child's total weight. Otherwise, they're putting too much strain on the shoulders and the back. So just periodically go through that with your child. I found a bunch of toys in one of my younger kids' backpacks that you can take out. Remove the things that you can remove. And then when you help them load the backpack or when you teach them to load the backpack, tell them to put those heaviest items in first, because the closer they are to the child's back, the less strain they'll put on those big muscles.
Yeah, I remember my kids a few years back. My son in particular, it was ridiculous how heavy and unbalanced that backpack was. It seemed like you're leaving home, got everything you own in there or something. So that might be something you need to stay on your kids also throughout the years. If you
now they carry those big water bottles. So it's almost you put the backpack on them and they're going to tip over backwards. So yes, good to check out periodically.
Keep an eye on that. Also, just any drawstrings or straps that might accompany the backpack or something else I guess the kids are dealing with.
Right. So, when you think about kind of maybe some sweater weather coming up or jacket weather, so you've got those sweatshirt or jackets drawstrings that may look cool, but they can also get caught in doorways, especially those buses or on playground equipment. So you want to, especially for younger kids, remove those if you can or trim them if you can't. You want to look around the waistband, and if anything is hanging more than 3 inches, you want to trim that as well. And as you mentioned, backpacks, it made me realize one of my sons, have one son. My son's backpack straps are pretty long, so we need to trim those because especially when kids are getting off the bus, that is a bit of a hazard with those doors closing. Yeah,
and again, age appropriate. Certainly the younger they are, you definitely want to stay on top of that. Of course, there's so many minefields when it comes to the devices that so many kids spend so much time on. What are some pointers you have for us there?
Yeah, so devices, I feel like we could have like an entire day's worth of conversation around this. But like you said, kids have their own individual devices, but then now we also have school issued devices. So you want to talk through the do's and don'ts with your kids. And that's as simple as how do you take care of the physical equipment, but also don't contact or chat with anybody you haven't met in real life. Don't forward pictures of others. And I love the golden rule, which is what would your principal or your grandma think if they saw what you were writing, texting, sending. So each family can have extremely long conversation about do's and don'ts, but it's really important to have a conversation is the main point. Then you also want to teach them about staying alert. So in our neighborhood, I regularly see kids walking to the bus, staring at their phone. Yeah. That's a safety hazard. Or walking home from school, staring at the phone. You just want to teach them about staying alert while they're on a device. Also, it's important to discuss cyberbullying. Unfortunately, it's a very real prospect for our kids. So talk to them about what that looks like and how to handle it. And if you have a conversation in advance, they will feel less shame and feeling like they're alone, and they'll feel like they can reach out to you if it does happen to them. And then finally, the schools try to do a good job of putting security software and tools on the devices, but you want to make sure that your network's secured at home. When the kids bring the devices home, you also want to have some parameters set up to protect them at home as well.
Very good advice, sir. More on all these topics and other topics at austinfamily.com. Alison Bogle, thanks so much. We appreciate it as always.
Great to talk to you.
All right, talk to you soon.